and he starts doing the worst thing that you can do, which is telling the truth about people, and they hate it, and they just go bonkers. They hate it, and they become obsessed with making him stop. This guy's got to stop talking. We've got to shut this guy up. And I can just sort of picture the scene in a lamplit room with a bunch of guys sitting around eating hummus, thinking about what do we do about this guy telling the truth about us? We must make him stop talking.
Guys, I made a huge mistake. And no, this is not clickbait. This is actually my truthful feelings this morning as I wake up after having watched the Tucker Carlson speech at the Turning Point USA event. And I have to say this. My mistake is this. We've been focused so much on Candace because she's nuts and deranged, and it's been so embarrassing and honestly purely entertaining to just watch her fall apart. Yes, she's getting tons of views, but so many of those views are coming from people who are just think she's loony and want to watch the shipwreck go down, as humans tend to do. But I've said in one of my last videos that, Tucker and Megyn Kelly, I've got a lot of thoughts on them, but they're not as urgent. And that was a mistake. Tucker Carlson is proving himself to be the slyest, worst snake of them all. He has proven himself to be the person who is very, very manipulatively and sophisticatedly managed to stay in the norm. He's on the Turning Point USA stage talking to hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of right-wing people in Charlie's name, and he is turning them against the Jews. You have to see this speech. But before we see the speech, because the speech is making my blood curl, and I'm sorry, my normal humor, I'm not going to have it right now. I feel sick. I feel honestly ill and disgusted by what went down last night. But before we talk about that, I want to show you guys a different clip because I think it sets the context of how bad, just how bad this whole thing is. Because, in Israel we have a saying, if Hamas, a terrorist organization, thinks something is good, then that means it is inherently bad. And so just watch for yourselves because, oh boy, we have a lot of work ahead of us.
That we're seeing now right-wing bases. Who would have thought that Tucker Carlson, of all people, would sit there and be the #1 advocate against Zionism in America today? Candace Owens, Karima, inshallah, قولوا آمين. Candace Owens, did you guys see the Ted Cruz interview where Tucker Carlson rips into Ted Cruz and just completely destroys him? Matt Walsh likewise, and there's a huge Marjorie Taylor Greene. Sean King said to me when we were in the car once, he said, Sammy, you don't understand who Marjorie Taylor Greene is. She's the representative of the most racist area in Georgia. African Americans were told not to go to her area. She's now one of the loudest advocates against Zionism. But here's my point about the Ummah when you said that we've done everything we can. Why has that change taken place? Because we've started to deploy a power that we haven't maxed out yet. Trump is looking at Tucker Carlson, who's saying we shouldn't get involved. Candace Owens, we shouldn't get involved. Matt Walsh, we shouldn't get involved. Dave Smith, Trump needs to be impeached if he goes into Iran. So Donald Trump, because of that scream, because of you here in Kuala Lumpur, because of us in London, because of those in Berlin, in Rome, because we actually decided to speak about it, because it became relevant, because we decided to tweet about it, because we decided to because we decided to do da'wah at last instead of sleeping, what happened was Trump instead went to the Iranians and said to them, listen, I need a way out. I'm going to send 2 bombers. They're going to bomb, but what did Israel say? These 3 sites. Your scream, your voice, it has power. It shifted an entire US foreign policy. It stopped Trump from intervening in Iran itself. And this is the whole point when people say, why come to Kuala Lumpur? Why go to these places? It's because the power is not there like you think it is. The power is here, even though I think you guys are here. We are achieving results. They said that when Trump comes to power, it will be disastrous, like for Muslims in America. Mahmoud Khalil, arrested, released. Rumaysat Oztur, arrested, released. Mohsen Mahdawi, arrested, released. American Muslims for Palestine, tried in Michigan, the case was dropped. Tried in Nevada, the case was dropped. They tried to pass the anti-boycott bill, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she pulled it. They tried to do a non-profit killer bill where the Attorney General would have the unilateral right to remove a tax-exempt status. Guess who removed that clause from the bill? Christian churches who said, why is Zionism intervening in terms of how we decide our non-profit? The reality is that people are making an effort and it's working. And you went to America, you've seen those Yemeni cafes. Oh my goodness. These places are packed until 2 a.m. and they're everywhere in America. And Yemeni cafes like it. So I said, guys, how did you succeed? Like, give me the secret. I'd love to see a Muslim, like cafe succeed in the UK in this way. They said, Sammy, When people actually started thinking about where they put their money, the money just flowed. Sammy, we can make big Muslim businesses. We can make big economic powers. The reason they don't exist is not because of the absence of money. It's because we don't take care how we spend. We don't take care where we go.
My blood is boiling. I don't know about my blood is boiling. Now, I'm happy to report that a lot of the things that he said in here are actually incorrect because this is an older video. Mohammed Khalil has been deported. Iran, America did intervene. Thank you, Trump. He didn't pull back. But my blood is boiling because everything that he is saying is actually correct. And this is what they're out there doing constantly, daily to us. Look, Tucker has become our #1 mouthpiece. Look at all the people we have working on our sides. We've managed to manipulate those racists into hating Israel more than they hate us. And we can just do it because the power is here. It's not there like we always thought it was. And we have the numbers. My friends, I feel ill. I feel ill and I feel angry. And that is why channels like these are more important now than ever, because every single one of us has to be out here making the noise because he is right. The power starts at the bottom. They're us, the voices, the irrelevants who suddenly become relevant, who have managed to turn Christians and Jew lovers into haters because of Islamic manipulation. And at the forefront of it all is Tucker Carlson doing their ungodly work for them. And boy, oh boy, am I mad, am I furious at this manipulative snake who is using his hatred of the Jews in Israel and is not doing any of the basic journalistic work. And again, go through my old videos. We've reviewed a bunch of his interviews. They're sickening, they're shocking. The things that he says are disgusting. But last night, the significance of this event cannot be underestimated because as these people said, as we now know, this sick mentality has infiltrated into the right. And whilst yesterday's event was significant for a million reasons, it was phenomenal. Erica gave a speech. We're going to review it soon. It made me sob. I cried my eyes out. She spoke about the revival of religion and how the response to Charlie's death has not been violence like those crazy people, but rather a connection to God. And I love it. I absolutely love it. But the alliance between the Christians and the Jews has never been more important because the Christian numbers are enormous and the Arab numbers are enormous. And if the Christians start to turn and focus in on the Zionists as a decoy planned very intentionally by the Muslims instead of on the real enemy, Islam, that wants to defile everything that Christianity cares for in the name of the Jews control everything instead of in the name of the Jews are blessed and they will bless you if you have relations with them, if you're friends with them. It is just sickening. So why am I actually so mad? I mean, let's just watch what Tucker Carlson had to say yesterday and you can decide for yourself.
Ultimately, he was a Christian evangelist. And it actually reminds me of my favorite story ever. So it's about 2,000 years ago in Jerusalem, and Jesus shows up and he starts talking about the people in power, and he starts doing the worst thing that you can do, which is telling the truth about people, and they hate it, and they just go bonkers. They hate it, and they become obsessed with making him stop. This guy's got to stop talking. We've got to shut this guy up. And I can just sort of picture the scene in a lamplit room with a bunch of guys sitting around eating hummus, thinking about what do we do about this guy telling the truth about us? We must make him stop talking. And there's always one guy with the bright idea, and I could just hear him say, I've got an idea, why don't we just kill him? That'll shut him up. That'll fix the problem. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Everything is inverted.
They, the people who killed Jesus, they all sat in a room in Jerusalem, Hummus, trying to figure out how do we get this person who's speaking the truth to shut up? Oh, we will kill him. And it doesn't work that way because the people who try and speak truth, they get killed. That was a direct insinuation that it was the Jews that killed Charlie because we didn't like him speaking the truth. Excuse me? How dare you? How dare you get on that stage with your maniacal, revolting laugh, smiling away as if this isn't a big deal, insinuating, and everybody, knew exactly what you were saying, thinking, let's just do it. Candace went a little off the rails, but I'm protected because now everybody knows that it was because of my attempt, or Charlie's attempt, to keep me speaking, that's protected. So I can say whatever I want and I can go as far as I want. And I get on a stage in front of 1 million people and I say, they all just sat in a room in Jerusalem eating hummus, trying to shut up the person who speaks the truth. We have a real problem on our hands, guys. We have a serious, serious problem on our hands. And I'm so angry that I'm struggling to actually get my thoughts clear. But number one, first and foremost, the mistake that I made, thinking, Candace is really crazy. Tucker's kind of on the line. Tucker is now 100% working for the demise of American society by thinking and by pushing the idea that Zionism is the problem, and it is not radical Islam that has manipulated him into that. We know for a fact he's being paid by Qatar. We know that. We know it. It's clear. There's the receipts. We've done videos on it. There's no questions about that. But this man is now acting as a double agent within the most significant American society and in the most significant time when there is a movement, a resurgence of people to faith and to God and to activism in the most beautiful way. And he's very subtly tilting it so that activism comes against the Jews instead of against Islam the way that it needs to be. My friends, it's a very serious time. I wish I could be out here smiling and laughing and making fun of it, and we will. We'll make fun of it eventually. But this is really serious. If you are a Christian, if you are a Jew, if you can see straight that radical Islam and Islamization is a problem and that they are manipulating and they have managed to get into the right-wing movement that has always hated Islam ideals, that hates everything that they stand for and everything they believe in. Christian movement is so much better than this. And this is where they're going, to the hatred of the Jews, to pushing these kind of rhetoric that we're the ones who killed Charlie. That's what they're doing at this important time. And he's doing it on that stage with a smile. This is a really, really significant moment. And look, I'm online. I saw Marissa Straight and Dennis Prager from PragerU saying, we believe in Turning Point and in Erica. And we're all waiting because next week Erica's going to do an interview and she's going to talk with this girl called Alex Clark about what's going on and what happened with BB and all of those things. And we're going to find out if Turning Point is turning towards a world in which the Christians and the Jews unite their amazing force against this terrible thing that's coming at us. If we use our connection to God and our belief in faith and family and ideals and morals to fight against the real enemy, or if they're going to focus on the wrong enemy and completely miss what's actually coming for them. And it could happen. That's the truth. It could happen. If Turning Point turns against the Jewish kids, against the Jews, against the Zionists, instead of focusing on the real problem, like the man said at the beginning of the video, how have we managed to get the right-wingers to be our mouthpiece? We've just manipulated them. We've spoken loudly. We've won. We're using the system against us. If Tucker Carlson ends up becoming the mouthpiece for that, the Trojan horse, the person from within the system that actually manages to erode it and destroy it, shame on us. Because we're seeing it. We're watching it live. We've seen his interviews. We've seen the discussions he's had. We've seen the insane comments that he's made. Hamas are a political group and Sharia law is not a bad thing. We've seen the crazies. And if he continues down this vein of being a normal voice, an accepted voice, Trump, J.D. Vance, Tucker Carlson, instead of as radical and nuts as Candace is, we are in trouble. If he continues to manipulate and have a say in the behind the scenes and what goes on in Turning Point, we are in trouble. Look, I'm all for open discussion. You want to bring somebody like Dave Smith who really thinks Israel is doing a bad job? Okay, I don't like it. I don't agree with Dave Smith. I think he's a traitor to the Jewish people. But there's debate. But Tucker Carlson, that's not what's going on. This is much slyer. This is much more vindictive. This is much more manipulative. And this could be much more impactful if we're not careful. Look, normally I would say that there's, like, comment, subscribe, do the things to support the page and to get the word out. But I really mean this right now. I don't care if you don't share this video. I don't care if you don't share my page. I don't care about that. But start talking about this. Start talking about it right now. If we get 20,000 views on this video, if we get 150,000 views on this video, and every single person who watches this is out there calling out what just happened and saying that we can see it for what it is, then we are in a completely different space. So to have the courage, speak up. That's what we learned. Anything from Charlie was speak up, defend your values, debate, discuss, bring it out into the air. We did not kill Charlie Kirk. We are not behind all of this insanity. In fact, the complete opposite. We are out there every single day fighting for the freedom of Western society, for the freedom of Christians, for the freedom of Jews, fighting against this evil that is radical Islam that is threatening to take over, and they are public about it. And we have to fight back against the people from within us who are betraying us. And that is exactly what Tucker Carlson is. A total and complete traitor and betrayer to the cause. Thank you for your attention to this matter.